Halftime shuffles are one of the coolest sounding grooves out there, but how do the pros like John Bonham, Bernard Purdy, and Jeff Porcaro play them so well? I'm going to show you an easy 4-step framework, and we're going to go from absolute zero to playing shuffles that the pros would play. Before we get started, you can grab the PDF for this lesson by following the link in the description. Okay, stage 1, we're just going to use our hands. This is the main idea of a shuffle. What you're going to do on the drums is just play this over and over at different tempos. Make sure you have that down before moving on to the next stage, because you need to feel very solid in what you're doing with your hands. For stage 2, you're going to keep that pattern with your hands, and now we are going to add the kick drum in different places. This first example is quite basic because you're just getting like a driving feel with your kick drum. Feels quite cool to play. The next idea is slightly more challenging, and it's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. Just really focus on getting that sounding clean when you play the ghost note and the bass drum at the same time. So if you look at a triplet pattern with 3 notes, the first groove had the bass drum on the first note, second one had on the second one. There's only one more thing to do now, and that's putting the bass drum on the third note. So let's go. Okay, those are the 3 basic placements for the bass drum when you're playing the shuffle feel. Let's try add a few variations where it's not as repetitive. This exercise that we're currently playing is a very good one for building your shuffle feel, because that bass drum landing on those 2 exact places really drives that shuffle feeling. Okay, let's do one more. Before we move on, I just need to tell you about the video sponsor, Music. So you've probably noticed that most of my videos include drum notation. Putting notation always helps put everything into perspective, and it makes it easier to learn. The better drummers are at reading and writing notation, the quicker they'll be able to come up with new things or learn what others are already doing. This brings us to Music Pro, a transcription app that was made by drummers for drummers. The big apps like Finale and Sibelius are cool, but they include so many complicated features that I don't use. They also make it quite difficult to write drum parts out quickly, so Music simplifies this process, making it easier than ever to write out drum parts very quickly. You can write out full drum sheets if you need, or you can simply write out short sections like I do in all of my videos. If you want to find out more about the app and try it out for yourself, just follow the link in the description of this video. Okay, we are now ready to move on to stage 3, and that is when we're going to add the backbeat on beat 3. So that's when you're going to play a loud snare drum amongst the shuffle feel that you're playing with your hands. The trick here is that it might be quite difficult for you to get the ghost note after beat 3, but that is the whole idea behind shuffles. The better you are at playing a ghost note straight after a backbeat, the better your shuffles are going to sound. Okay, let's add a kick on beat 1, and now we have a basic halftime shuffle groove. Okay, now that you have done that and you're used to playing it that way, it is time to improvise. So I could write out a million patterns for you to read and play, but what we're going to do now is just keep that snare drum backbeat on beat 3, but your bass drum is going to do whatever. So here's me just improvising with my bass drum while keeping that same halftime shuffle pattern. Okay, we are now ready for stage 4, and what stage 4 is we are going to take the famous halftime shuffles, and I'm going to show you how to play them. And if you've gone from stage 1 all the way to stage 3, as you get here, these should be easier to learn. So let's look at the most famous halftime shuffle ever, played by Bernard Purdie, the Purdie Shuffle. Up next, another super famous halftime shuffle groove played by Jeff Porcaro with Toto, the Rosanna Shuffle. And then we have the third shuffle of the trio of famous shuffles, the Fool in the Rain groove that was played by John Bonham. This one is actually, to me, the hardest one to play because of that open hi-hat. Let's check it out. Just remember, with halftime shuffles, it's not actually about how fast you play. It's not about how quick you can play that groove, because you really want to focus on how they feel. If you watch Bernard Purdie play a halftime shuffle, it just feels and sounds so good, and that's what you need to focus on when looking at all these grooves. If you're looking for more things to practice on the drums, check this video out.